the heyday of bodybuilding, you know. 80s.
Ask Lee Haney sometime when you see him or text him. Lee, yeah. Chris said when you won the Nationals, ask him how loud the crowd was at prejudging.
Well, first of all, people don't realize, and I'll remind them because, you know, a lot of people, well, according to Bob, I don't go to shows either, so I don't know anything about it. But New York crowds, okay, especially the Night of Champions, New York Pro, the New York crowds, especially when you would hold it in the city, these bodybuilding shows would be they're so loud because in other states, people are not loud. New Yorkers are loud. And when they like something, they let you know they like it. And when they don't like something, they'll boo you. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we are back for another installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. It is June 19th, 2023. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto. Chris, happy Father's Day. It is Father's Day today.
Happy Father's Day to you, Dave. And I see that you got that snake oil. I don't... You have that snake oil supplement stack that you're hawking from your basement right there next to your computer. How dare you promote something that you've worked so hard your entire life to build? Yeah. By the way, I don't see Fiberlize there. I use that product.
Oh, you're hawking that for me. Yeah,
it's and Testralize. Also, yes. Look, it says on the side, do not give to snakes. That's
how dare I on my own channel promote my own products, right? It's you know, it's funny because everyone else in creation can promote whatever they want, but if Dave Palumbo, the information provider, the pure, you know, the truth in bodybuilding, if God forbid I promote anything that I personally own, it's a crime against humanity, right?
Yeah, no, I just wonder, Dave, why
no one even knows what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking about Bob Ciccarello attacking you for selling supplements. Essentially, he's that's what he's attacking you for, and the odd thing is, I think people in general would look, when it comes to nutrition advice, training advice, which is exclusively free on Ask Dave for like 15 years, like hours and hours long show, that, you come away with some type of, I would say, a little bit of credibility. So when it comes to a supplement line, I think, you lend that credibility to the line, and the idea that someone's attacking you over selling supplements, it'd be as insane as attacking Jake Wood for having on the banner or on the Olympia stage, whoever the presenting sponsor is, say, hey, why do they take that snake oil? Not all those guys use that.
It's funny though that he tried to like take shots at me when he had his own little bottles on his right next to him of companies that he has getting money from, who he probably doesn't even use their products,
Yeah.
So, you know what, though, Chris, I learned a long time ago in this industry, a lot of jealous people out there.
Well, that's outside the industry too, but I mean, it's just
Bob was like, yeah, I didn't even want to even do a response video to Bob, but Bob, called me out because look, he's looking to get some traffic on his YouTube channel that's non-existent at this point. So, he had to pick a fight with like me, which is really the worst person to pick a fight with, especially if you're going to do it based on merit, on knowledge of the industry and supplementation. That's like, I mean, he's in way over his head, in that response. He should have debated me on emceeing, competitions. That's the only thing he knows about, So I don't know why. I don't even know why he did it, but I think he's got like a masochistic streak. He wants me to dismantle him. And I didn't even want to do it. You know, I told you, I said, I don't even want to deal with this anymore. But they keep prodding me. And
who are the top 5 that you've had feuds with? Bob is like 1, 2, 3, and then there's maybe Louis Marco 4.
Louis Marco, we got rid of the vegan gains.
What do you mean we? Who's we? That's another time.
Well, you.
Who's we?
Yeah.
Because Bob says we, so I wanted to know who we is.
Bob thinks he represents the organization too. They just he's just the joker of the organization. He's like the mascot.
Well, I can't stand by the judging panel and say like, well, we had him first, or we had.
Yeah, I mean, if Bob was a judge, I would say, okay, he's right, but he's not.
No, but I mean, I wanted to know who's we. I mean, it's odd when people refer to themselves, collectively as informing an opinion to say we, like it's encompassing everyone.
Right.
And by de facto makes you seem like you're not right.
Yeah, but everyone's gone. Everyone anyone who's ever picked a fight with me. Look at that guy Leo. He actually died. Someone killed him. Wasn't me, obviously, but I mean, everyone disappears. I mean, there's no.
The only one who's ever beat you, Dave, in a fight, is in an argumentative fight, is your wife.
It's my wife. Can't win. I can't win that battle. You're right. But yeah, I mean, it's because you know what the truth of the matter is. There's no reason to argue with me because I'm for the sport. I'm for the athlete. I mean, what could I possibly not, agree? Like, who could pick, anything out that they would want to like somehow like make me seem like dumb or?
Well, Dave, not everyone knows actually what you're talking about, and that the argument was simply that you had stated that you would come out with a opinion piece about men's physique, explosive division for the IFBB, NPC, and a great division, and that since putting height and weight, is it height and weight caps? Well, weight caps. You said that.
Tyler had come out with a video.
Yeah, Dave's point was you can fudge in that you don't have to train legs, and you can, if you're 2 pounds over, you can quit training legs the last 6 weeks, and you can. There's 2 pounds right there, and Bob said that legs are judged.
Well, what happened was Tyler Mannion put out a video saying they were gonna try out in the men's IFBB Pro division a height weight thing, kind of like what they do for Classic.
Yeah.
Problem I said was with that idea, I think it's a great idea to limit the size on these guys. I do think everyone agrees they're too big, and they're getting a little too big. But how you do it is a matter of opinion, of course. Now, I said that really doing a height weight class is not going to do anything. You have to just institute hey, this is as big as we want, and then start marking down the guys that are too big, because the weight thing doesn't restrict anyone, because people could manipulate their weight because since the lower body's not judged, I said people will just lose muscle there and allow it to go up to the upper body. Now, Bob tried to twist it to that and made it seem like I meant people are going to starve themselves till their legs are skeletally thin, and then they were going to look like Ronnie Coleman on top. And obviously that's not what I meant. He knew that, but he purposely twisted it out of proportion. I just said that it's not going to no one's going to miss the weight class. You can't possibly when you're only getting half your body judged.
Yeah.
So Bob didn't like it. So Bob tried to make it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about. And then and he basically implied that it wouldn't work that they should do the height weight for Classic, but they shouldn't do it for women's physique. And I said he's completely wrong. Women's physique, it's perfect to do it for, because it's like Classic physique. They judge upper and lower. And then I said they don't even judge the legs, and so he didn't like that. So he then lied to try to make me look and discredit me and say Dave doesn't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't even go to shows anymore. He doesn't know. He's not up on the like I'm not up on bodybuilding. We don't do a show every week, and I don't do 18 videos a week on bodybuilding. And Dave doesn't even know they judge the legs now in men's physique. So I'm like, no, they don't. So I wasn't going to say anything after his last video because it was so irritating and just completely purposely twisting what I said out of context. But then I saw he lied, so I texted a head judge. out there who I will not name. And I said, hey, just out of curiosity, Bob and I are having this discussion. What percentage do you attribute to the men's upper thighs and, hamstrings, all that stuff, legs? And his response was simply, we don't even look at legs.
So would that be no percent?
So that's zero, right? Well, if they don't look at the legs, then there's no percentage taken into account.
Well, we know that they don't judge legs, Dave, by the fact that if you
there's nothing wrong with that. It's an upper body contest. Yeah.
If you took a guessing game and took who's your favorite classic physique guy, Dave?
I love Aaron Banks, the Mr. Olympia right now.
Okay, take his. I mean, we know what his.
Andre Ferguson, I love his physique.
Andre Ferguson and Banks, and just take a picture of like 9 different people who's flexing their quads, only their quads from the waist down in the gym, and say which quads belong to Andre, and people would be like all over the place. But at the same time, if you took Bumstead's legs, for example, who's adjudged, or Heidi's legs who are judged, even the casual fan would know. All of them unanimously would say, well, those are Heidi's legs. How do you know? Because I see them all the time. What do Andre Ferguson's legs look like? Most fans would be like, I have no idea. I picked this. I thought those were his. No, those are his. No, those are his. You get nine different legs, showing pictures of people's 9 different bodybuilders or men's physique guys with 9 different photos, and every single fan would, they wouldn't be able to collectively pinpoint whose legs are whose.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I said, you know what? I can't let him get away with this because he's lying now. See, and it's not that he was lying to make me look bad. That didn't bother me that much, even though it is a heinous act on his part. It was a disservice to the athletes because there are people watching his channel. Not many people, but there are some people watching, his channel that might say, "Oh shoot, I'm a men's physique guy. I didn't even realize Bob just told me something I wasn't sure of. They're actually judging legs. I better start training legs because I didn't know that." And meanwhile, they're not judging legs. So Bob is giving false information to the competitors, all in an effort to try to discredit me. And so basically, he's a liar. But yet he purports to put himself forth as the athlete's rep. So here's the guy who was supposed to be representing the athletes, who's actually lying to the athletes just so that his ego can be somehow fixed because he feels like he got I made him look bad, which he made himself look bad. I didn't make him look bad. I just pointed out my truth about what I felt about the division. He wanted to try to argue semantics with me, which is a bad idea because I don't argue anything unless I have a very strong, solid opinion on something. And rather than just go gently into that good night, he decided to say, you know what? I can't take the fact that Dave won this debate, as always, and I'm gonna lie about it to try to make him look like I can discredit him so that he doesn't know what he's talking about. So people will say, oh, Bob really knows what he's talking about. Dave doesn't, so Bob wins. Sorry, Bob.
You know what, Dave, at the end of the day, what it clouds, it muddies the waters in terms of what Tyler, I think, is trying to get out, or Jim, the NPC, is that this is a growing division and we want to keep it growing, and we don't want to hammer it by like people saying, well, wait a minute, this is just like open bodybuilders.
Exactly.
Because right now, that's why, some classic shows you'll look at and you'll say, this guy is big, full, peeled, and ripped, but he's not classic. You know what I mean? It just doesn't have the flow. And so the template for classic is not there. So to some degree, weighing the guys, giving them a height limit, it keeps the bodybuilding aspect, the pure mass out, and it's helping the sport because we're getting so many people in the classic division with tremendous class
it works.
line. And I think the first thing that we notice about this division, men's physique, in the last 3 years, like a lot of people, I said, God, this guy could be 212, and he ends up winning. And maybe that show, he deserved to win, but I think they're thinking where's it stop? We don't want the division to take a turn for it just went for crazy density, roundness, and fullness, and it's not what the original vision was. Because
I
mean, if you
remember
look
when
at-
they
if you
first
look-
launched.
What's that?
Good. No, go ahead. Yeah.
No, if you look at the, how it's, yes, men's classic physique has changed from the last, let's say, 6 years in terms of like its progression, but those caps have kept, the same people winning, or better people coming in, and the men's physique has just the level of everything, which is great. The level of development, maturity, roundness, freakiness has just exponentially gone off the charts. And I think that the weight, and the height is set to like cool it down so that, you don't have a guy where, you go to a show and you say, gosh, this guy could, would be a good open bodybuilder.
Right. Well, but you know what? In classic, it works, the height weight, because you just can't weigh more than anything. And so you only have so much weight to distribute on this physique. So it kind of keeps the guys limited. And it really, what it's doing, it's not keeping the competitors limited, it's keeping the judges limited. That's an important point, because the judges are bodybuilding judges. They like to see muscle. So they can be bamboozled. If you took the weight cap off of classic, the guys would get big and the judges would reward it because it would look better. And, they would still go for the small waist or whatever in the X frame, but the guys would get too big. So that's why I have a weight cap. With men's physique, it just won't, the weight is not going to do anything. What they need to do is start marking down guys that are too big. They did that when the division first came out. Don't you remember? We'd be like, oh, look at that guy. He's bodybuilding. He's too big,
Yeah, but I think the numbers, you're right. Ultimately it's the responsibility of the judges, but, I think throwing out caps, trying to tell people, it's getting too big. Do you know what I mean?
I'm saying. You mark down a couple of guys for coming in too big, and I guarantee you the division will go boop, 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 boop. It'll step back the opposite direction. So look, I really admire what Tyler's doing. He doesn't just sit back and wait till things get out of control. He's actively, going after things before they get out of control, and that's the right way to do it. Rein it in now before we're seeing Ronnie Coleman on stage in men's physique, upper body. So they're doing it right. In my opinion, and it doesn't matter, they're going to do whatever they want anyway. In my opinion, I didn't feel the weight cap. What it's going to do is it's just going to be more controversial. Height, weighting guys in. It's going to take more time at check-in. There's a million men's physique competitors. It's easier just to say, hey, guys, if you get bigger than a certain look that we're looking for, you're going to be marked down. And you know what? You'll find out if you're too big when you get on stage, and we put you in the second spot.
You know what the interesting thing about a new height and weight cap is that we don't know what people weigh, and it might put a damper in somebody's like, I can't fit that. I'm winning shows. I've won a couple shows, and
But if you watch that video that Tyler did, what they're doing is they're trying to take the top guys and take their height and weight and figure out how those guys still will fit into the.
Yeah.
In other words, they're trying to fit the height weights to the current existing crop. There are going to be guys that have different proportions.
Not that it's a code issue, but maybe you can grandfather in like some people if they might not be able to make whatever.
Chris, here's my problem with the whole height weight. This is a perfect example. What if you get a guy like Aaron Banks, who's got the most beautiful physique? He's Mr. Olympia. He won the Arnold. He can't be beat right now. He's the top guy in men's physique. What if he just happened to genetically have very big legs and like to train legs? You put a weight cap on it just because he's got big legs, and he might go over the weight. And now, even though his upper body is the perfect look, he can't make the weight because he's got big legs. So now he's got to stop training his legs anyway. So it's not a smart way to do it for men's physique, because you could have the perfect upper body and you just might have big legs. And you know how much weight you hold in your legs, Chris. Legs are, I weighed 300 pounds in the off season because I had monster legs. It wasn't that my upper body was so monstrous. It was big too, but my legs carried a lot of that weight. And so it's not going to work. It's not the right way to do it. And so like I said, I'm putting it out there just because I want to show the faults with the system.
Yeah.
It works for every other division because every other division you're judging everything, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That was the whole thing.
We'll see how it plays out, and
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see what people's, you know, weights are, because we don't know what people weigh. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter, because if you don't see half your body, Chris.
Oh, I know it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to even look into what the person weighs. What about if you get these guys? Well, who's that one guy? He's awesome. He has no legs. You know, he's got like the 2 prosthetic legs.
Yeah.
He's a pro. He's unbelievable. That guy. I forget his name. Sorry if I forgot your
Well,
name.
I mean, that's an exception to the rule, but I
No,
mean,
but there's too many exceptions, because if you don't judge legs, you know, the weight is irrelevant. You can't use weight as a metric if you're not looking at the legs. It's just not fair. So whatever. I don't want to keep hitting on this. Obviously, I'm passionate about this because I'm passionate about our sport, and I want it to be the best that it can be. And
passionate can be. You don't even go. You don't leave that basement.
Yeah. I don't leave the basement that doesn't exist in Florida. Yeah.
You know,
Joe
Biden didn't leave his basement either, and he won a presidency, for God's sakes. Remember during COVID, he wouldn't leave the house. He was too petrified.
Yeah, he was afraid he was going to fall down. But debate is good. Talk is good, because it helps everyone kind of in their head put together the best solution to the problem and make it better long term, you know. And so I'm all for debate. And like I said, I don't have to be right. It doesn't matter. Whatever the decision
that's the point, Dave, because listen, debate allows you to sharpen your own point of view, because you can't exclusively be right all the time, although you can. But you know, debate allows you to, like, you know, tighten up your position. Right. What I don't like is when people like take those shots about. That's why I keep saying I was going to actually broadcast this from my basement, which looks like a Frankenstein basement, and you know, and taking cheap shots against, you know, your supplements, when here he is being paid to like hawk supplements he probably don't even use, let alone make and create. And the whole entire industry, every single show has, you know, supplements.
I'm not allowed to sell anything, Chris. I have to be I have to be on welfare. I'm not allowed to make any money. If I make any money, then I'm an evil person.
Yeah.
Only other people can make money. Dave Palumbo is not allowed to make any money and pay his bills.
Okay, point. You've hammered that point. It's one of your best.
Yeah.
One of your best rants ever, Dave.
Thank you. And it was, once again, I blame him for me having to do that rant, because I was done. I was done with these arguments and wars online with people. I'm good at it, because if I have if I believe in what I'm saying, then, you know, I could argue it for forever, you know. But I don't like to do it. I'm trying to just be more of a peaceful
passive. You want to be passive.
Not passive. I'm trying to just be an information provider and be, you know, positive about everything. But every once in a while, someone prods the sleeping dragon, and they wake me up, and I have to, like, you know, I have to defend myself. Believe me, it's a lot more work for me to have to go back and watch his video and dissect it, and then come up and put the whole, and then I have to edit the whole thing. It's a lot of work. I don't enjoy doing it. Believe me, I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy it. So, you know, I wish people would just, you know, contact me privately if they have a problem with me. You know, I don't know what it doesn't seem that there's that many people that have a problem with me, but maybe they're just not talking about it publicly. So
yeah, it could be.
All right, obviously we're taping this in the morning on Father's Day, because, you know, Chris and I have stuff to do for Father's Day. God forbid we spend time with our kids, right, Chris? We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
According to Bob, you know, we should just be going to shows with him and learning the wrong rules at these shows, obviously. I wonder who he talked to. Yeah, either he made that whole thing up about the judging the legs, or someone actually gave him that bad information. I believe he just made it up.
It could be faulty intelligence. He could have got faulty intelligence. It could have came from a reputable source.
Maybe he's got like
he didn't check the sources. That's why you should always check 2 sources.
Right.
And Dave went to the Supreme Court and got everything overruled.
Yeah, the funny thing is that he challenged me to go to the judges.
I know you took it to the Supreme Court.
I was shocked that I said, this guy must really believe what he's saying if he thinks I'm not going to then go check up on him after he's telling me to go check up on him. I think he was trying to he figured I'd be too lazy to check, but all right, enough talk. I don't want to beat this into submission, even though people seem to enjoy this whole battle that's going on. But
they hope it goes to another level next.
Yeah, I think people doing the cardio now, watching this in the morning, and they're like, "Oh, this is great stuff. I helped me get through my cardio." All this back and forth with Dave and Bob. You know what? The funny thing is, it's probably the most publicity or the most relevance. I added, even though I smashed Bob, at least I add some relevance to him. No one else would even care about him if I didn't talk about him. All right. And you know what the funny thing is? Like he's very condescending about me. The funny thing is I give him credit where credit's due. I always say he does a good job emceeing, even though he tells funny jokes. I always give him props where, when he's doing good stuff. It's when he tries to get into waters where he doesn't belong. That's when I have to put him back in his place. But he's a good MC. I mean, he does a good job, and
I think he does a great job. I think he does a great job as an MC. I think I think he's
not the best guy out there, but he's good at what he does. And
he's not working for the Knicks, is what you're saying.
No. But he's good at what he does, and so just stick with what you do, Bob. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to put you I'm not going to assassinate your character like you try to do to me. I'm just, if you're going to argue a point that's not true, I'm going to argue back. And if you're going to lie about things, I'm going to point out the lies. That's what we do here. Sorry. Let's talk about this show. What is the show even called? The classic Empro Spain?
Empro, Alicante Spain.
Empro Spain. Yeah. I didn't even realize it was
one day if we could escape, we could get out of our houses. I would love to go to the Alicante Spain show because everybody who goes just raves about how beautiful Spain is. That part of Spain.
You and I would both be divorced. Our wives would say, just just stay over there in Spain. Let me come back. We'll go live with Dorian in South of Spain. He's doing it right. He's never been happier in his entire life. No stress.
He's perfectly well adjusted from post, being Mr. Olympia, right?
He absolutely is. Yeah, no, he is. And you know what? It really shows that Dorian was able to, whether you like Dorian or not, or his opinions. I'm not talking about that. Dorian was able to adapt and evolve and reinvent himself. And I try to pride myself on that as well. And that's tough because he was the Mr. Olympia, and it's very easy when you're Mr. Olympia to want to keep reliving those Mr. Olympia years. And Dorian was just like, all right, I'm done. Now I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
He's got a supplement line and he's got, whatever little businesses he's got over there in Europe. And he's enjoying his life. He's got a big spiritual awakening. He does, I think, tours to South America, right? With the ayahuasca type stuff. And
you can go to Spain and then get on a plane with him. That's right up your alley, Dave.
You
guys could have a show. Dave Palumbo discusses ayahuasca with Dorian Yates. 5 hours.
It'll be like, what was the guy who used to travel to different countries and taste all the food? Anthony Bourdain. I'll be like him. That had to be a great job. See, if I didn't have kids, if I decided, hey, you know what, I'm not going to have kids with my life, that would have been what I would have wanted to do. Something like that, where I travel to a different country every weekend and I do a video there and taste all the local foods.
Dave, the best thing is
check out all the local gyms.
If you go to Anthony Bourdain, go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Go check out some of the restaurants. I've been to some of the restaurants that he's, traveled to.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
It's just exciting because you're like, because he gave it crazy reviews. And
yeah.
I mean, we went to this crazy hole in the wall in Miami once. It was Dominican food, and it was off the charts.
Like fried banana plantains and
stuff
like that.
It was like a local, local family
Yeah.
cooking local food, in
Right.
a dining place that's not too busy, but fairly busy, no air
Yeah.
conditioning, good food, not expensive. And it was one of his favorites. I forget
Can you
the name.
imagine if I didn't have kids, whatever, and I could do whatever I want, and I just went to a different country and went to a different gym in all these different countries, like checking out I'm in Indonesia now. This gym is supposed to be the hardest core gym of all time. There's cobras right on the bench presses there. And I go in there.
You could interview people. You could,
and then I eat the local cuisine. It would be.
Then you could get I'm just gonna say, Dave. Then you could get follow a bodybuilder, and he can bring you to his house, and he's preparing the chicken the way he prepares chicken with his spices.
Right. I'd have some serious.
He could pose for you a little bit. You know what I mean? He could be 8 weeks out, and you could give him some tips.
It would be great.
You could give him some of your supplements, and people would have a big, oh God, they would have had a heart attack. How dare Dave Palumbo travel to Bali on his own dime and make a commercial for his supplements out of this interview with this kid.
Yeah. It's funny how people think that things just that magically happen in the world with no money. You can't put content, and you can't actually. What we do this is our full-time job. This is this is how I make my living. I have to pay bills and mortgages and car payments and kids schooling and all this stuff. You have to something has to support you, whether it's my own supplement line or Iron Mag Labs or Titan Medical. You got to have sponsors, and I try to pick the sponsors that I really believe in their products. All right. So we have this show in Alicante, Spain, and I didn't even know it was taking place this weekend. Chris reminded me because Chris had the live stream, and Michael Krizo is making his 2023 debut. We're all excited to see how Krizo is going to do, obviously, because he made a big name for himself last year. He came out of nowhere, essentially. He got his pro card. He won a pro qualifier, and he wound up on the Olympia stage, which is pretty incredible to do in 1 year. But a lot of people said by the Olympia, his physique looked a little tired because he had done so many shows. So now he had a nice, off season, and this is his, I guess you say, his 2023 debut. Chris, I'm going to put the pictures up. What did you think of Krizo here?
Well, I watched the live stream, and this Krizo physique destroys the Olympia physique.
In what way?
Condition without being flat. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this, in the comparison. Sometimes, anyways, he had great condition without being flat, and that's because he's already known for being a big guy, big. It's easy chasing the condition to say, oh, best condition, but we've seen him bigger, and that's not the case. And and he looked great here, absolutely great.
Look at the back double. What a great back he's got, right?
Now, when it's what I mean. I mean, it's really impressive here. It's really sharp.
So Krizo is the third from the right, if you're looking at the picture, and then right next to him to his left is Andrea Presti, who won a show last year, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's also very impressive because he keeps improving and improving, and we kind of he's kind of was dismissed last year as a guy who was like, well, he's good, but he'll never be a top tier guy. But he's put a lot of mass on too. Look at his back double bicep, Chris.
Yeah, his back double's very good. It's dry. He's wide also.
Yeah, I mean Krizo's huge, and he's not losing to Krizo by much.
It's a very good analysis, Dave, that you can see it just from pictures, because I saw it in the on the video, is that he didn't look as, I thought he'd be dwarfed by Krizo, and Krizo's definitely wider and definitely bigger, but he holds his own really well.
Krizo's got better legs, bigger legs, and we'll talk about the other guys in a second. Let's just go through these poses. I mean, Presti's really good in this side tricep shot, but look at Krizo's hamstring drop there. That's very impressive. I think
he's impressive from head to toe. I mean, I just think he was 11th last year in a humongous lineup,
right?
And he looked close, but no cigar. You know what I mean? He looked close for he looked really good. Just deep lineup, but this is a much better version of what he brought to the Olympia, without a doubt.
Krizo's problem, I think, is going to be, Chris, size-wise, he can stand with anyone on the Olympia stage. Does he have the same beautiful structure as some of these guys? That's going to, when he stands next to them, sometimes I think he's exposed. But look at that most muscular shot. That's a
devastating.
Marcus Rule most muscular right there.
Yeah, without the tears.
Yeah, that's the tears exactly. But even Presti's impressive there too. And look at Peter Clance here, all the way to the right there.
Yeah, he looked good.
Now you work with Peter. He looks enormous. He looks probably close to his best. What he looks like he might be holding a tad bit of water here.
Yeah, he was holding water. I was surprised. He was holding water. He looked great like 12 hours ago before the show started. I think he ended up holding water. Well, I know he did. I just don't know why.
Yeah.
I probably know why, because he didn't, cut any salt, didn't cut any water, because sometimes that's not the best thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, when you're super dialed, sometimes you don't do anything and you end up holding water.
Right. Now, all the way to the left is my good friend Roman Fritz, who I think comeback of the year. I mean, this guy has made some serious improvements. People don't realize, if you watch some of the interview I did with him last year, he had a hip replacement. Not only did he have a hip replacement, but he had a problem. He had an infection with it. He had to have it redone. So he had basically two hip replacements on the same hip, and his legs look probably better than they've ever looked his entire career.
Best his legs have looked, without a doubt.
So
because
anyone
his
tells
legs
you
can't,
can't.
It's weird, because you forget. He used to, his just legs kind of disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had the hip issue.
Yeah, you're terrible.
Here he is after the hip, and his legs are twice as big as they've been in the last few years.
You want to hear how bad it was, Chris? He couldn't leave he didn't leave the house. He had a gym in his basement. He would just go downstairs and train, and literally just lay on the couch the rest of the day after that, because his hip hurt that much. And because these doctors tell you, we do the hip replacement, you can never train again. That kind of stuff.
Can't use Bob's voice, Dave. You got to go to a whole different voice.
All right,
don't
sorry.
use Masters. Don't use Blackman.
I'll do Blackman. If you get a hip replacement, you can't train anymore after that.
Try Nasa's voice. Maybe that's acceptable.
Well, yes. From what I understand, these doctors, they will tell you that you cannot train with a hip replacement. But I have seen otherwise. Roman Fritz has proven that these doctors are nincompoops, and obviously their education was probably attained from a Cracker Jack box.
But Roman looked his glutes looked like shredded wheat.
Oh my God! Well, yeah, he's always got the crazy glutes.
And he had big legs. He had big legs, so
if he brings that back up a little bit more, he's going to be right there with these guys.
I agree with you. Well, as Jose said, don't forget, the inside of Jose Raymond. He said, when your hip goes, not only do your legs go, but you can't do bent over rows anymore for your back.
Right.
And you can't do deadlift. There's a lot of upper body stuff that's impacted. People say well, your hip's gone. Can't you train your upper body? Well, not really. Not the way I used to. So
no, you can't.
The back. I mean, he probably now with the new hip, second time around, can train, pretty good. Look at Dave how they do on this live stream. They keep the camera the small angle right on the judges the entire time.
Yes, Roman. There's some video of Roman for those of you who want to see the video. Let me see if I can zoom this a little bit here. Hold on. I mean, really looks good. Like I said, just a little bit more back. I mean, that's conditioning. If you guys want to see how you should come into a competition, that's conditioning right there.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Roman. You look great, man. Keep going. All right, let's get back to the
in Wellington. You didn't touch on.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that. Talk to me about Wellington.
He's just a collection of. His strength is a collection.
Second from the left, right there, Wellington.
His strengths are that it's a collection of lack of strengths. How's that? His strength is overall strength.
Look at that back spread, Chris.
Yeah, he doesn't have one dominating pose. but he doesn't have anything weak. So it's a collection of lack of weaknesses, and add on to that great condition that moves him up. And this was his best. You know, he's done well in several pro shows now, but this definitely was his best. I mean, he looked polished. He looked, I think, a little rounder than he'd been at other pro shows, and even harder than he's been. And you know, he's got the type of physique. I mean, like a lot of people, you know, if you can add a little bit more size to it, you know, a pro win is out there for him. He just got to find the, you know, he's got to look for the show where Krizo's not at. You know what I mean? He's got to be in a show that he's capable of winning. And right now, he's not obviously capable of beating Krizo.
I'm so impressed with the level of bodybuilding that I'm seeing out of Brazil now, Chris. It really, I mean, Brazil is like becoming like the new like Kuwait, you know, where we get all these like crazy good pros out of there. I don't know what's going on and what they got in the water over there, but they're really crazy about bodybuilding. Look at this squat he's doing here. I mean, that's why he's got big legs. You want to know? People always say, "How come this guy's got such great legs?" Well, because he squats. The guy trains. You know, you've got to do this. No one wants to do this. This is the reason I'm showing this video is because you see we got all these spotters around you. It takes a long time and a lot of effort to squat. Whereas if you get on a leg press, it's a lot easier. This is how you build huge legs, you know. But you need a team around you, or you at least need a good training partner who's going to be able to spot you, because you don't go down with that kind of weight unless you got someone behind you. Because if you can't get up with it, you can get hurt. So, I love to see guys training like that. It makes me say, you know what, this guy's going to go very far because he's not willing to do what it takes, you know, and to put his body on the line, you know, to look his best. So, congratulations. Obviously, we haven't got the final placings yet because we're filming this in the morning. It's a Sunday show. I don't think there's any doubt that Krizo is going to win this show, and Presti will be second. But you think Wellington will snag this third spot?
Yeah, I think Wellington will secure pretty. I'm pretty sure that, you know, based on what I saw, he'd be third. I mean, someone who you could make an argument a little bit, pushing him kind of in second, but Presti's wide, you know, and you know, that carries him, you know, and his condition is also extremely good too. Equal, if not a little bit better, maybe than Wellington. So I see him falling in the third slot here.
Yeah, he's a little bigger too. What about just Josema Beast?
21 years old. He looked incredible for 21 years old. 21.
I can't even believe he's that young.
Yeah, really impressive.
That's now. Where's he from?
I don't know. I think Spain. I don't know actually.
Yeah. No, he's Spanish. Spain. Yeah, he's Spanish. Here's a good picture of him. Hold on. What did he just get his pro card?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, he must have. He couldn't have got it when he was 17 or 18.
No, I think he just got it, Chris. Hold on, I'm going to pull up because I'm looking at his Instagram now. Because when I don't know someone, we got to do our research. And looks like he just got his pro card here. I don't know when that was.
Yeah, his condition carried him for sure.
Yeah. Hey, 21 years old. This guy's got unlimited potential, you know, as far as I'm concerned. So he looks like he's going to finish in the third or fourth position. And then like Roman and Peter Clance here will probably battle for the fifth and sixth spots.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And now Amir Omaragic was in this lineup too, Chris. I know you work with him. What happened with him?
I think I think he was holding water just like Peter Clance there.
Yeah.
I think they're, you know, I coached them both and I think they're both holding water. And the irony is they're both, you know, super shredded.
Yeah, no, usually, they're the guys that we're going to see, you know, peeled to the crazy peeled. Are we going to see these guys in another show?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what the calendar, you know, holds, but
right. Well, you know, it's good that there's a couple of European shows that are coming up now, and I like to see these guys because it kind of gives the Olympia a better flavor. In other words, you don't want to just see the same guys over and over. I like to see the European contingent. Now, having said that, this was a tough show because Krizo was in it. But I'm surprised I'm not seeing American guys going over and doing these European shows. Do you think that they feel discouraged, or do you think that they feel like maybe the European judges will not favor them, or will maybe not give them the placings they deserve? Is that why we're not seeing?
It's a great question, because you don't see a lot of Americans traveling there, and I mean, really, you don't see a lot of Europeans traveling here for shows. I mean, it's just like, I think when you're trying to figure out as an American, you know, what shows am I going to do? You come up with, like, you know, the New York Pro, the Tampa, the Texas, the Cal. You know, there's a bunch of shows that you can choose from, and it's just not on your radar screen to, like, oh gosh, do we have to go? You know, do we have to, you know, travel all the way over there? Different time zone, different country. You know, how do we navigate the local system? There's just unknowns that you say, like, you know what, I'll just do, you know, Tampa and New York or Orlando versus, you know, and I think the same is to a large degree true with, you know, people coming from Europe. It's, you know, they might think it, if nothing else, it's just, if I live in Spain, it's cheaper for me to, you know, do the Spain show. Or if I live in England, I'll just go to Spain. You know, stay.
Or Europeans come to the United States than vice versa, though.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you know what? I'm gonna put it out there, just because, you know, we're about an information show, and I want to be helping. I know all the athletes watch the show, and I want to give them advice. But if I were guys like Labrada, or even some of the guys that are, like, you know, the newer, younger guys that are up and coming, I would get my butt over to Europe and compete. And I'm going to tell you why. Because even if you don't win the show, let's say you're top 5, you're going to make so many great connections with promoters over there, and you're going to have a lot of business opportunities that are going to open up to you, because the European market really loves American bodybuilders. And, you know, even if you might just be a guy that's really big, you know, and that maybe you don't have the shape or structure maybe to win the show, but if you make an impression on them and the fans, you know, like what they're seeing, you're going to have people that are going to give you opportunities. Hey, come guest pose, or hey, come make an appearance, or hey, you know, maybe we can do business together. And that's relationships that will go your entire career. I've met people overseas that when I was competing that I'm still talking to this day, you know?
Yeah.
So I can't stress enough, get out of your box, come out of your comfort zone of this United States little box that we're in here, and go over there, not necessarily because you need to win a show there, but because you want to expand your horizon, so to speak, and your reach. Because you know what? You get a whole European, you know, fan base over there. That's going to mean a lot more money for you, because you're going to have more social media following. You're going to have more people following what you do on YouTube or your YouTube channel. And that equates to dollars and cents at the end of the day. So you can't put a price on that, especially the younger guys. Do it while you're young, because you know what? It doesn't, you got energy, you got no responsibilities. Most of these guys don't have families yet. They haven't started, you know, they don't have kids. Once you have kids, as Chris and I, the travel restrictions are very steep at that point, because your kids don't want you to leave.
Ask Sinbad.
Yeah.
I wish you could play that video.
Chris reminded me of a very funny skit. You know, Sinbad, ironically, people forget. Remember, didn't he MC the Olympia a couple times?
He did do something with the Olympia.
Yeah, Wayne got him in there to do some MC.
Wayne brought us Sinbad, and Wayne brought us the Village People.
He brought the Village People?
The Village People performed, I think, when Coleman was, you know, 2004.
I forgot that. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, they performed.
I don't remember.
Because
why am I blocking this?
Because people were like, well, wait a minute. Why didn't you just, if you paid the Village People, why can't we just increase the prize money? Ask Sean Ray. He would be an expert on that.
Yeah.
Sean Ray would know exactly, you know.
Because anything that involves Sean's pocketbook.
Just because I don't like Sean, because he's mostly wrong on every topic. He's very right on many topics when it comes to actually pure bodybuilding. And one of them was the prize money. You know, what are you paying the Village People? Maybe we should take that money instead and put it into the prize money for the athletes. I think the audience is here as much for the Village People. I mean, for you know, the top 10 at the Olympia as they are for the Village People.
You know what, though? I kind of like when you add like some celebrity aspect to the Olympia. I think it makes it more important. And perception is important. Look, at the end of the day, we want the athletes to have money, but you know what? If we hold a Mr. Olympia at a high school gym and we give away $1 million to the winner, yeah, the bodybuilders are going to be happy, but the whole the audience who watches the show is not going to be happy. And let's face it, the Olympia is as much for the athletes as it is for us, the fans and the people who critique the show. So we want a big sensationalistic show.
Well, let's come up with a list from the fans of the top 10 non-bodybuilding celebrities they'd like to see in the prejudging at the Olympia. Kim Kardashian, number one. They can announce them to the crowd, like Bob can look out and say, Kim Kardashian, stand up, and the crowd can go crazy.
Yeah.
And at least you can fake it and get
Bob like, Kim, can you please put away that product line? You're shamelessly promoting that snake oil here at Olympia.
It's Skims, Dave.
Yeah.
She's dressed in Skims. I don't know why she came here dressed in her own product.
God forbid she promotes her own product, right? She's looking for a new boyfriend, I hear, Chris. Did you see that?
Yeah. You think she'll find one?
I don't know who you got. First of all, she's not going to date a regular guy, right? So she's got to date.
I was just going to say,
you
know what she needs? A regular guy.
She does, but she won't do that. And because she needs to, since it has to be something that she can put on her TV show. Yeah. And no man in his right mind, like celebrity guy in his right mind, is going to date her, because you're basically dating her and the whole family, right? Because they're going to put you on the reality show, and you're going to become a
pawn,
more than likely a target of them, at some point.
Product.
Now, if you're a person who's trying to, maybe up and coming, and you're trying to promote yourself, that's a great way to get publicity. But if you're actually looking to have a real relationship with her, it's probably not the best. Probably not the best thing to do. You're probably going to come at it. If you talk to some of her exes, and I'm not talking about Kanye, I'm talking about the basketball player kid. He was really nice. I think he was completely traumatized by that whole family.
Dave, you got to get Bleckman on sometime, because people don't know that. Were you working for Bleckman when Bleckman hired to shoot her?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, he was horrified.
Pear Bernal called me. She's out of shape. She's fat.
Yeah, but that's
what shoot her in a dress.
Huh?
They had to shoot her in a dress. They couldn't even put her in like a workout outfit.
Well, the fact is, what year was that?
It had to be 06, maybe 07.
What year did the TV show start? So
the TV show was out, but she wasn't like crazy. Like, she was popular, but she wasn't like through the roof popular.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure they paid her. I don't know I don't remember.
If Biden can get rid of Kamala Harris and runs Kim Kardashian as vice president, it's a slam dunk.
He might win.
Well, because he only has a reach. His Instagram has like 40,000 followers.
Right.
And she has like 400 million.
From what I understand, I think Kim Kardashian might be more intelligent than Kamala Harris.
Oh, I thought you were going to say more coherent than Joe Biden.
From what I understand, Kamala Harris is not a very intelligent woman, from the shows I've been watching about her. Because they were saying, well, what if Biden dies? Well, then Kamala Harris is going to take over. And that's kind of a scary proposition.
Yeah. Well, for some people, it's even more fearful is what if Biden lives? Because you get more of the same.
That's true. Oh, by the way, I saw I don't know if you saw it with your family yet. You should take your kids. I saw The Flash. I
texted you and you said I'm at The Flash.
Yeah. Now, this is how it went down. Because Lee Priest told me he was going to see Flash. And I said, he's like, it was really good. And, because in Australia, it comes out the day before, because they're ahead of the day. And I said, I'm never going to be able to see that movie. And then my wife said, hey, we're going to take the kids to see the new Little Mermaid movie. I said, all right. I said, I guess it's not bad. And then my son said, I don't want to see that.
Yes.
So there was my in.
He wants to see something.
Said, well, Logan, I said, there is The Flash. I want to see The Flash. So Logan and I went to see The Flash. And my wife and my two daughters went to see.
Oh, they went to see Little Mermaid. Oh, that's great.
That's how we made it work. We made it work that way. And Logan only had to go to the bathroom 3 times. And I missed the one line of the whole movie I wanted to see where Michael Keaton, who's the original Batman, he's in this movie because there's a whole multiverse of different people in there. And he says the one line, "I'm Batman." Remember when the movie originally came out? That was the line. Everyone, "I'm Batman." And he says it again. Of course, I'm in the bathroom with Logan when I missed the line. But
it's Dave.
Other than that,
Dave, that's like the the 30th most recognizable lines after Arnold's 29, from like "Hasta la vista, baby" to "Back to the Chopper" to like.
I was watching. If you remember in the Arnold documentary that's on Netflix now, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen it, go watch it. Arnold was saying how him and James Cameron were arguing because the scene where he's the Terminator and he comes in and he wants to, whatever, he wants to get some information from this guy, and he's like, they won't give it to him. And he's like, "I'll be back." That was the original first time he ever said that. The line, Arnold thought the line should be, I will be back, because he figures a robot would never use a contraction.
Yes.
He'll never. And James Cameron says, no. That's the line. It's got to be, "I'll be back." It flows better. It sounds better. And Arnold's like, no, a robot wouldn't say that. I'm a cyborg. It wouldn't use a contraction. And Arnold said, Cameron vetoed me. He's like, "I'm the director." He goes, "You're going to do what I tell you to do," which very few people say that to Arnold, but Arnold wasn't Arnold at that point. And so Arnold said, "I did it the way he told me." And of course, it was the right way. And he goes, "Very rarely was I wrong, but I have to say James was right on the line, And that became his most iconic line. Maybe it's the most iconic line in all of movie history.
Yeah. Well, it set up all the other iconic lines that came after that. He had like there's like 10 or 12 of them.
Well, he put it in every single movie he does. He says, "I'll be back" at some point, if you know. Every movie after that.
I didn't know that.
He puts that line into the movie, as a little dig. And he said it when he would do his speeches, for governor. He would, after every speech, he does, "I'll be back,"
Yeah.
You made it when you have an iconic line that everyone knows, you for. Very few people have an iconic line like that. Arnold will always be known for "I'll be back." I mean, you can't, right then and there.
You can't use the phrase anymore, or they'll cancel him. Girly men.
Yeah.
Remember on Saturday Night Live, he used to make fun of the guys?
He said it during his campaign, and people got upset. Did he call one of one of his competitors that he was competing against? One of his the people he's running against, he called him a girly man, and they got all upset about it, right?
Dave, do you remember when he beat Gray Davis?
Yes.
Okay, I went to a restaurant with someone you and I know well. And Gray Davis happened to be sitting in the restaurant right next to us, like a week later.
Really? Where? What state?
Dave, come on! I can't give my privileged information. You just got to use your. I say you're right.
Okay.
The deep state. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
You'll laugh. I'm surprised you didn't figure out who it is.
I know who you're talking about, but I didn't know what restaurant.
Different country. I was in a different country.
Oh, you are? Okay. And
which is
over
even
there?
crazier. Because I was
that's weird.
Like crazy, like exclusive dinner club. And
you recognized him?
Huh?
You recognized him?
Of course. Who's all over the news, because
I know,
was like, chiding him for all that time. So
wow.
That's and funny. What? It was like a week after the election, or maybe 3 weeks. Yeah. And you could feel the air of defeatedness. Right.
That's great. Yeah, there's nothing worse than like you actually win an election. You're the governor, and they say, "You know what? You suck so bad that we're getting rid of you. We're not even going to let you finish your term out. We're not impeaching you. You didn't do anything wrong. You just suck." Basically.
Well, that was when Arnold announced. He said he was going to terminate him.
Yeah. No, but think about that. That's got to be the greatest mind fuck for you, because the people are just saying you are so bad. You didn't even do anything wrong, but you're so bad we can't keep you in office anymore. And not only that, we're going to replace you with an actor.
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's who we're going to replace. And if Arnold doesn't win, we might replace you with Gary Coleman from Different Strokes. Right? He was running too.
Yeah, they had like 300 people running.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
That's what Arnold said in the movie. He said, "All these crazy people running, they made me look so normal."
Yeah. It's exactly what he's saying. Isn't it funny how life? I always say you have to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Life just aligns itself. That's why I'm a really big believer in, if you really want to do something, put it out to the universe.
Yeah.
And don't push it. In other words, don't force it, because the opportunity will open itself up at the exact moment. Because Arnold even told the story in the documentary that he wanted to run for governor 3 years prior to that, but he had an obligation to do Terminator 3. And when he went and talked to the producer, because he wanted to raise money for his campaign, the producer said, "You're out of your mind." He goes, "You're doing my movie." He goes, "Or I'm going to sue you, and you're going to have to pay me back all the money we already spent on this movie." And Arnold's like, "All right." Even Arnold was like, "I don't want to do that." So Arnold, did the movie. And then 3 years later, all of a sudden, everyone wants to get rid of Gray Davis. And Arnold's like, "Holy mackerel, 8-week campaign to get into the governor's chair. This is perfect."
The irony is Arnold prepped for the 1980 Olympia for 8 weeks, and he got ready to become governor for 8 weeks.
Yeah,
is that crazy?
Yeah. And the greatest was when he won. He went into the office for the first day, and he's like, "I didn't even know what to do." He goes, "I'm like, did they bring me stuff, or how did this work?"
That was the best part of the movie. My sister just asked me. She said, "What was the most?" Oh, I texted you, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Last night, my sister. My sister when
tell
I was
that story. That's great. Yeah.
I sent the text to Dave yesterday. My sister said, "You have to see this Arnold documentary." And I said, I already saw it, believe it or not. And I don't watch a lot of stuff because Dave, you always said, "You see this movie, that movie, that." Yeah. I said, "I don't have the time." But I love Arnold. So I watched the Arnold documentary. And my sister said, "What year did we go to that bodybuilding show?" My sister, when I was 15, took me to watch the NPC First Nationals ever in New York City. And the winner was Lee Haney. And I was 15. And I told Dave, I did a timeline for you. 15, I went to New York City for the first time. First time on a plane. And went on.
People working out at that point?
$29.
17. Were you working out, Chris?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
17, I met Bob Gruskin. 19, I won the Team USA. And 20, I was working for Joe Eder. Yeah. And the first time you go on a plane, and then the first time you're in New York City, that was like insane. I was like, New York City was crazy. Plus to get to go see the Nationals, and to see Lee Haney, who was just unbelievable, compared to everyone else in that show. He would go on to win 7 Olympias, of course, or 8 or whatever. But he just demolished that show. But what
was that show like? The way because it was the first year they held the Nationals. Was it like a small little thing? Was it like?
I found out from the NPC office. I asked Jim Mannion, where was that show held? Because my sister asked me. Right. I thought it was at the Beacon. And I didn't know, because I know what the Beacon looks like, but I have vague, clouded memories of 1982 being at the Nationals. And the lineups, which I sent you the lineup was unbelievable. Who was in it? People who got crushed, who would go on to win shows later, pro shows. I think J.J. Marsh was 12, for example. And Jim said it was at City Center, which I don't even know where City Center is, but it was their first Nationals, and they had it. The auditorium, Dave, that was another thing. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was sold out, and I didn't know it was going to be so crazy sold out. I was like, "Oh, you going to this bodybuilding show?" I didn't know where I was going. Like how big it was.
I'm surprised the first year they held it was so successful.
It was beyond sold out. Each class was ridiculously deep. Haney won. Moses Maldonado was, I think, won his class. Charles Glass was third in that show. He was phenomenal. I think Dean. Two memories from that show, two big ones. Tim Belknap was the favorite. Joe Weider publicized the hell out of Tim Belknap in Muscle Builder. I mean, that's how I knew the show was going on. And he was going to win. He was from Rockford, Illinois. He was a shoo-in. I sound like John Hansen. He was a shoo-in to win. And I'm sure everyone thought he was a shoo-in to win. Joe was backing him. He looked crazy. But Lee Haney showed up. And the judges judged what was in front of him. And Lee Haney not only won that show, but he'd go on to dominate for years. And Dean Tornabene was in the show. And I think
training partner.
Dean Tornabene was like 4'11", and I just I couldn't imagine someone that short being that big. You know what I mean? It was the first time I'd seen someone like under 5'8" with any amount of muscle. He was like phenomenal. So the show was incredible. Bob Paris was in it. I think he was 4th. I can't remember who else was in the show. And Bronston Austin, who Weider was behind, he was 4th in his class. He was kind of a big deal back then. I mean, there was a lot of like names in the show, but I mean, you must have had like you had a lot of people in each class, and that's all it was. There was no other division. And I'll just end with this, Dave, because we've been so spoiled. The audience at Prejudging was so loud it was deafening.
Really?
Oh my God.
Well, that was the heyday of bodybuilding, 80s.
Ask Lee Haney sometime when you see him or text him. Lee, Chris said when you won the Nationals, ask him how loud the crowd was at Prejudging.
Well, first of all, people don't realize, and I'll remind them because, a lot of people, well, according to Bob, I don't go to shows either, so I don't know anything about it. But New York crowds, okay, especially the Night of Champions, New York Pro, the New York crowds, especially when you would hold it in the city, these bodybuilding shows would be they're so loud because in other states, people are not loud. New Yorkers are loud. And when they like something, they let you know they like it. And when they don't like something, they'll boo you. I mean, I remember those Night of Champions shows that there were guys that got booed off stage and there were guys that like got lifted up to the heavens, like Nasser and Momo Benaziza and Jay and Francois and Levroni. I mean,
Dorian.
Deafening. You're right. Deafening crowds there. People cheered.
It was a great time. And I just couldn't believe when my sister said, I just realized 82. I think that was the first NPC Nationals.
Yeah. It's crazy that it's been so long ago already, right?
Yeah.
What was that, 40 years?
Yeah. And it was 40 years. And I remember Tim Belknap, who, like I said, had all the Weider push behind him. After Prejudging, I like turned and he was right there. My sister had a camera. I said, "Oh, can I take my picture with you? I have it somewhere." And he
took one with you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. You got to find that picture.
Yeah, I got to dig it out.
That's the classic, Chris. We got to put that up on the screen. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You probably thought you met like a god at that point.
Well, I know what shirt I was wearing. I know what shirt he was.
And he still owns that shirt too, by the way.
Huh? Well,
you maybe still own that shirt, probably.
Yeah, I probably do. I would put it in the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame.
Along with the Muscle Tech jacket.
But what's crazy, Dave, is that so I'm 15, and 2 years. Bob Gruskin was at that show coaching people, and 2 years later, I run into Bob Gruskin.
That's weird. Where did you meet Bob again?
I met him in Mount Holyoke, where do you know Pump and Iron?
Yep.
Where Arnold is. There's like a. Who's the guy who died? Who was a good friend of Arnold's? The guy who used to have a cell phone number.
Leon Brown.
Okay, Leon Brown's the where they filmed Leon Brown for Pump and Iron. Arnold guest posed at that show, and then a few years. That scene, I competed at that location in 1984, and that's where I met Bob Gruskin at that same location where Arnold guest posed, and Leon Brown's wife is going crazy.
Holy mackerel! That's a good piece, a little chunk of history right there.
Yeah, and that's 2 years after, going to the first NPC national championships, which is that show. If that show had died, if Jim didn't pull off that, there'd be no NPC because backwards the AAU controlled bodybuilding. The AAU, which is around today in different sports. The AAU, didn't have the vision for that Jim had. They butt heads, and there was a falling out, and Mr. America was the marquee. Everyone knew the title, and when they started the NPC, which was separate from the AAU, they had to come up with a title, and they came up with national champion, which now has such a ring to it. You know what I mean? But before it was
think about it. That Mr. America title, I'm sure initially people were pissed off because everyone wanted to be Mr. America back then.
Yeah.
No one knows now because it's kind of like so long ago.
Really, Mr. America.
There were probably still guys that did the show. Just didn't Jeff King say he wanted to be Mr. America? That's why he did it.
Yeah, I think. Yep. And well, you know what? It's funny. Jeff won. Did Jeff win in '82? The Mr. America? I think so. 82.
Yeah, great. Probably the universe too, right? After that.
Yeah, I think Jeff won '82. Hansen would know. Get him on speed dial, 82, 83. But that was the break off, and
Jeff went the wrong way. Jeff went the wrong way.
Yeah, well, you don't know. You know what? You don't know at the time. He didn't know. He was a kid. He was 21.
Yeah, but he was making money too. So I think he said he made a lot of money, staying with them initially. Anyway, all right. Well, good little historical fact there, and obviously we haven't seen the end of the Spain show yet because it is early on Sunday here. But I have a feeling that we're going to see Michael Krizo go home with that victory and the Olympia qualification. Congratulations to all the guys out in Spain. And I'll do a full wrap-up of the show probably tomorrow. For now, we're out of time. As we say every week here with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth does hurt.
Happy Father's Day. We'll see you next week.